Hello, everyone. Good morning. This is my viral wisdom course that I do every day. And if people want to catch up on my old courses, my old classes, I think this is day 14 or 15. I've forgotten. But all of them are archived on Facebook. So I'm talking to my Instagram audience. Hi, Instagram audience. And to my Facebook audience. I'm sorry if I move a little bit. Good morning, everyone. So happy to see you. Check in and tell me where you're saying hello from. And just know that I'm so happy to be able to talk to you. So I don't know whether you guys know that this is my book, The Awakened Family. If people don't have it, they should. But I also have co-authored a book called Superpowered, and it's available on pre-order. So if you want to support my work, this is for teenagers, preteens, for children, how to transform their anxiety into courage, confidence, and resilience. Superpowered. Go and pre-order it if you want to support me and my lovely co-author Rini Jane. This is a fabulous book. It's meant for these times. We would love you to honor us by buying this book, by honoring, love you to honor the work that we do. So today what I'd like to focus on is a bitter and harsh truth of life that I do believe once we honor and once we understand will actually create liberation. But it's a bitter pill to swallow. So in order to introduce the bitter pill, I'm going to talk about a story, right? And it's a story that everyone understands as the story of the Buddha. The Buddha, as lore be told, as story be told, right? We don't know for sure, was this prince who lived in the comforts of his palace and was secluded and was protected from the outside world. The Buddha, when he one day went out into the town, encountered old age, sickness, death, and poverty. And when he encountered this, he was in shock. He was in staggering stupefaction as to what is this? He had never before seen something like this. And he didn't know what this was because he had been so protected by his comforts of his palace. Hold on, my Instagram is not on, so I'm just going to do it again. Sorry, guys. Breathe, pause, stay with me. So, part of this viral wisdom lesson begins with me telling you the story of the Buddha. So, I'm just repeating it for my Instagram audience. Hi, Instagram audience. The prince who lived in the comforts of his palace had never ever been seen on the outside, and he had never seen the outside world. He was completely cloistered and sequestered in his palace. So the story of the Buddha goes that, I'm getting a cup of coffee, that when he finally, as an adult, or maybe he was a teenager, went out into the real world, he encountered sickness, death, poverty, and illness. And he was in shock. And what he realized then is that this is the nature of reality, and him living in the palace was not going to help him understand the nature of reality. So in order to understand the nature of reality, I'm just putting off Instagram, it's not working. I don't know why it's not working. Doesn't matter. In order for him to understand the nature of reality, he would need to go out of the palace. So the Buddha then left the comforts of his kingdom, of his palace, of his luxuries, and he went out to live a life of an ascetic. He went searching and searching for the nature of reality. He realized that sickness, old age, death, and poverty was the shocking truth. And what he was experiencing in the palace was a lie. He first went out and started learning from all the wisdom teachers that were there in India already. So the yogis, the mystics. He began starving himself. There's a story that says that he only ate 6 grains of rice to look for the truth. He began to try to control his body functions. He tried to starve himself. He tried to live in extreme poverty himself. He tried to understand what is the nature of reality. What is this thing called sickness, poverty, death, and illness? What is it? Do we all just die? He began to really penetrate reality from a deeply experiential place because he wanted to get to the core of it. So for many years he starved himself. For many years he contorted himself in all sorts of yogic postures and different ways to understand mind-body connection. And then finally he sat under a tree, right? The story goes he sat under a tree for, I don't know, 6 years, and he did not move until he attained enlightenment. So the story goes. What's important about the story is the metaphor of the story, which is what I'm going to talk about right now. Not whether it actually happened, or there's a beautiful metaphor. And the metaphor is that he discovered that the only way to penetrate reality, the only way to understand reality, is to first understand it in one's own mind. That all reality first begins and ends in one's own mind. And unless we understand how we have created reality in our own mind, we will not understand what is reality versus what has been imposed on reality from our mind. So the bitter truth that I want to arrive at in telling you this story is that we, in most ways, create our understanding of reality. Reality as it is completely neutral. Reality is completely neutral. Our interpretation of reality is where we create its valence, its value, its positive or its negative. Reality just is. When we understand this bitter truth that, oh, it's not what I think it is, it's what it is, then we begin to differentiate between how we create our suffering to what is suffering. So this is a little complicated, so hang in there with me. Reality just is. Sometimes the reality is hot. It's something hot to touch. Sometimes reality is cold to touch. Sometimes it's pokey. Sometimes it's smooth. Sometimes it's a windy road. Sometimes it's a straight road. Sometimes it's shady with trees. Sometimes the sun is glaring through. All of this just is. Anything else we put on it is coming from our mind. So if the sun is shining through and the temperature on the thermometer says 75 degrees, but I decide it's too hot, that reality is now being created from my mind. My feeling that it's hot, my experience that it's hot, whether I remove my t-shirt or I keep it on, whether I sweat, whether I grumble, whether I complain, whether I get tense, all of that is now being created in my mind. The reality just is that the temperature is 75 degrees, but everything else that I create is mine. Similarly, if it's raining, it's raining. That is reality. It just is. But anything else, why is it raining? How long is it going to rain for? I really wanted to go on a run. I can't believe it's raining for so long. It's been raining for so long that I want to leave where I'm living. I want to go live in another place. All of that is now created from our mind. The Buddha realized the most powerful truth of all, that our thoughts, all our thoughts are an illusion. All our thoughts are a construction. All our thoughts are a fabrication, an illusion, and a story. The Buddha was one of the first people who developed this technique of meditation, where we begin to observe our thoughts. The reason why he did that, to observe thoughts, the reason why meditation is so powerful and why I espouse it as the only medication is because when you begin to observe your thoughts, even that act of observing our thoughts makes us realize that our thoughts are an independent reality. What that means is that our thoughts are just coming and going, and we have the power to separate and observe. What this means is that the biggest realization of all, does this mean that we are not our thoughts? Yes. So the bitter pill that I want to explain today, which is very difficult to explain in 20 minutes, is that all your thoughts are created by you. Therefore, all your suffering in most instances is created by you. And why? Because we cannot accept reality just as it is. We put on reality all this extra fabrication, and the inability to understand what is from what we have put on it, the inability to realize the difference between what is to what we put on it, that inability is our suffering. In simple words, reality just is. All else is the cause of joy and suffering. Reality is not asking us to be joyful. Reality is not asking us to suffer. We are creating that for us. What does that mean on a more profound level? That means you are in charge of your destiny here. You are in charge of how you feel here. It's all happening here. There is so much power in the way you think. And if only you understood that, you would then begin to take that steering wheel of your mind in your own hands and direct it. Do I need to go into fear? How long do I want to stay in fear? Do I want to go into lack? Do I want to go into competition and jealousy and envy and scarcity and lesser thanness? Or do I want to take the steering wheel of my thoughts and take it to another place? See, you can only do that when you begin to understand that your thoughts are just a construction, are just beliefs that you've inherited. They're just fabrications. They're just stories you've been telling yourself. Once you realize that through the power of really either an epiphany or through the practice of meditation, when you separate and you go, wow, I can observe these thoughts, meaning they're not me. They're not owning my mind, meaning I get to choose that these thoughts are things I can watch and I can say delete, 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 keep, delete, delete, store, delete, delete, expand. I have the finger that to choose and to delete and to keep is my finger. I have the power over these thoughts. When you realize that, and every wisdom teacher will tell you, that is the biggest epiphany of all. Now, you can intellectually understand it, but to really understand it, to really get it, that I am not my thoughts, that reality just is, and everything I put on it is coming from my thoughts, which are not even me, that is the beginning, the seedling place of wisdom, the blossoming of true liberation. When you begin to realize that, wow, I have a choice here. I have a choice in every moment as to how I think about this reality. There is your emancipation. My first liberation came on a bus. I write about it in my books. In San Francisco, I was on a bus. I was 21 years old. I had just come to America from India, completely fresh off the boat. I had a unibrow and a thick accent, and I had no idea how to even order a sandwich. I didn't know what rye bread was. I didn't know what Munster cheese was. I didn't know what brie was. I didn't know what figs were, what kiwis were. I was literally off the boat of India. We didn't even have cell phones back then. I didn't know anything. And I'm on this bus, and right in front of me are two gay women. I had never seen gay people in my life. I just knew from Indian stories and Indian belief systems that that wasn't good, that you were to frown on gay people, right? So here I see my first two gay women, and they're kissing and they're making out, and I'm like, wow, what am I seeing? Right? And my head is going, this is not good, this is not good, this is not supposed to be good. But what I'm seeing is beauty. What I'm seeing is lovely, and I want to see more of it. And I'm like, wow. And I'm like, ooh, maybe I'm gay. Is it possible that I'm gay? And I'm having all these thoughts because I'm seeing two women loving each other. Yes? But in my mind, the cultural belief system is this is bad, this is bad, this is bad, this is bad. And I'm watching a war. I'm 21 years old and I'm going through a war. The heart is saying this is amazing. The belief systems are going, this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong. And right there, in the clash between what I was seeing, the isness, versus what I have been taught to see, the clash of that eviscerated me. I had a spiritual awakening right there at 21 years old on a bus in San Francisco, watching these two gay women who didn't even know I was watching them, because reality was showing me this is harmless, this is beautiful, this is lovely, maybe even I am gay, this is something I want to do, I want to kiss them, this is lovely, right? So reality is, at best, this is harmless, at best. My thoughts, my conditioning, my belief systems, my traditions, my values are telling me bad, 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 bad. And I could see the juxtaposition of both, and I broke open because I realized right then, oh, my thoughts are not real. They're not even true. They're actually quite possibly full of rubbish, full of garbage, full of bullshit. Wow. And literally, right there, it was like I took the one string out of the ball of carefully constructed reality that I believed was right. I took one string out and the whole thing fell apart. Because in that moment, this girl at 21 said, if they told me lies about this, what else did they tell me lies about? And right there, literally, all the lies that I had been told, how to be a girl, how I should look, I should get married at 23, I should be straight, I should have children, I should be successful, how to be successful, how much money I should have, I should marry a successful person. All those lies, literally, I took that one string and my entire world fell apart on that bus in San Francisco. That's my story of awakening. It's not glamorous. It's not on the edge of a cliff or with a terminal illness. It was watching two lesbians kissing. That's it. And that's when I realized my thoughts, my belief systems are just constructions and possibly, quite likely lies. And when I realized that what I had been told was lies, that's it. I was like, then what is true? What is true? Who do I know myself to be? Who am I? And that's when I decided to go on my meditation retreat. And I went for my first meditation retreat. I was 21 and a half. I went for a Vipassana meditation retreat, which only focuses on observing your thoughts, observing your thoughts, observing your thoughts, and realizing lie, 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 lie. Return to the breath, return to the breath, return to the breath. I did this for 11 days, 14 hours a day. When I left my meditation retreat, I was a completely new human being. I was not the old self. I had, for all purposes, experienced a spiritual death. The Buddha, when he went under the tree, experienced many spiritual deaths. He killed many lies. But the main lie he killed is that we are our thoughts. We are our belief systems. We are our values. We are what we have been told we are. And he realized that the only truth is the isness of the present moment. Only the present moment is our truth. And our inability to realize that will be our suffering. So, when we realize that all that we believe about life, all that we believe about ourselves, all that we believe about others is most likely, quite possibly, a lie, then we begin to question ourselves. Then we begin to ask, why do I have this belief system? Why do I believe that this is how I need to be happy? Why do I believe that this is how I need to be successful? Who said? Right? So for my entire 20s, I used to just say, and who said? And who said? And who said? And who said? And I kept deconstructing my reality around me till I began. It took me then another 10 years. So only in my 40s did I really start to release my belief systems and really like separate from them. And now at 48, still 47, but at 48, I can say that I have successfully, quite liberally, deconstructed most belief systems and realized that these belief systems around how we should look, beauty, how we should age, youth, who should we believe in, God, how we should be successful, the institution of wealth and success and achievement, how we should educate our children, education, how we should live our lives, linearity, how we should think of time, temporality, space, all these ideas, marriage, divorce, monogamy, polygyny, how we should love, who we should love, sexuality, all these belief systems I now see have been created out of fear, because we are ultimately terrified of losing those we love. And our parents raised us to go from one belief system to the next belief system, to the next tradition, to the next cultural ideation, to the next mandate, to the next dictate. One by one, they gave us a list. Why? Because that's how they kept us ensnared to them, to the traditions, to the norms, to the lineage. And the reason we did it, the why, is because we wanted their love, because we wanted to be approved, because we wanted a sense of belonging. So we did it out of terror, out of fear, because to not do it meant disapproval, meant that we would be ostracized, meant that we would be thrown out of the fold, we would be all alone. So our fear is to not have this love. Our fear is who will we be without this love. Our fear is what will happen to us if we are alone. Our fear ultimately is what will happen to us when we die. So fear keeps us attached to these belief systems. Most of us are in dysfunctional relationships with our parents, with our partners, with our children, with ourselves, because we have been mired in fear to go quest, to go look for our truth. We're so afraid of who we will be without these belief systems that we cling to these belief systems. We haven't even explored. We haven't even really explored who we really love. Are we really love? Who we really want to have sex with? What is our sexuality? Who are we without our makeup? Who are we at 48 or 58 or 68? Who are we? We're so afraid. So we just keep going, one checkbox after the other, because we're so afraid to stop. Because if we stop, we will die, we feel. If we stop, we will be left alone. So this is our paranoia. But the bitter pill is that who we are is none of this. Who we are is none of these belief systems. Who we are is something we have to go discover. And that discovery takes courage. That discovery takes time, takes a declaration, takes a quest, takes a commitment. I tell everyone who comes to me who wants to find who they are, I go, you have to give me at least a year. You cannot find who you are just by wanting to find who you are. You have to go on a journey. And that journey involves shedding your old belief systems, shedding all your old attachments, and finding who you are without any of this. Because who you are without is in essence only a part of this cosmos, energy. We are only energy. But we have such a hard time being that, because to be energy means you have to live in the moment, in this moment, and only this moment. And because that is so terrifying to us, because we cannot hold on to an idea, to a definition, to a future, to a prediction, to the psychic delusion that we know what tomorrow will bring, because we cannot hold on to that, that makes us greatly anxious. because this moment is only this moment. So we have to begin to live in this groundless way and find grounding in the groundlessness of the present moment. And that is terrifying for people, right? How can we begin to live like this? So this is what we would say if we began to live in the moment. I am feeling sad right now. I am an author right now. I am alive right now. I would like to help you, but I know I can only help you right now. You can tell you something you would tell your child if you were living in the moment. You have a C grade right now. Right now, this causes me anxiety. But I only know that right now the C grade needs some help. But I don't know at all if this means anything about your future. Right now, right now, right now. You preface everything with the awareness that is only for the moment, for the moment, for the moment. This way of living is revolutionary. This way of living is apocalyptic. It's catastrophically different than what we've been trained to live as. We've been trained to live for the future. To live in the present takes a complete release of all belief systems. And this is where the rubber meets the road. This is where you will differentiate yourself from a person who lives in fear to a person who lives in abundance, from a person who lives conditioned or a person who lives as a seeker. A conditioned person can never be a seeker. A seeker, by definition, is a person who lets go of their belief systems. So that person understands, my thoughts are not me. My thoughts are only a story. All my thoughts are an inheritance, an emotional and cultural inheritance. Who I am is not what I believe I am. Who I am is only energy. All the rest is a story. So, when we confront reality as it is, anything we put on that reality is coming from our cultural and emotional inheritance. It is a projection onto reality. The Buddha said, life is suffering. What he meant was, reality as it is so painful that people will not be able to accept it and they will suffer. What he meant is that our inability to understand reality as it is causes suffering. Reality just is, but our inability to understand reality causes suffering. So it's raining, but if we didn't want the rain, our story gets imposed on the reality and we cause suffering. If our partner cheats on us, the partner just cheated on us. It just is. But because our belief systems say he should not, she should not, our belief systems say that marriage is X, Y, and Z, our belief systems say that marriage is monogamy, is not cheating, is not this, and therefore bad, right, or good, our belief systems cause suffering. Now I know that's hard. It's hard when your partner cheats on you. I'm not taking it away from you. I'm just saying in the big picture, reality just is. If your child got a C grade, they just got a C grade. Our belief systems about it, this is bad, this means my kid will be a loser, this means my kid will never be successful, this means my kid will be poor, this means my kid won't get married, this means my kid will work at a store flipping burgers. Our belief systems cause us suffering. When we can begin to understand the difference between reality as it is and the thoughts we put on it, when we can have this capacity, this is the seedling of our emancipation. Till then, we will believe that the reality is the cause of our suffering. The reality is never the cause of our suffering. Our beliefs about reality are the cause of our suffering. The inability to understand the distinction between reality and our thoughts, reality and our thoughts, the inability to get into that space. There's a space between reality and there's a space between reality and our thoughts. A space. Our inability to get in that space and widen it is the cause of our suffering. The wisdom seekers have a big space between reality and thoughts. Huge space. Huge space. They see reality and they see the thoughts. And there's so much space in between. That's why they are free, because they have liberation. Do you understand? Those of us who suffer because we believe reality is the cause of our suffering. Because our thoughts about reality and reality are so interconnected. We've not created a separation because we believe our thoughts and reality are one. So for example, if somebody comes up to you and says, you are so ugly, our pain about that and our indignation about that is so infused with that we get angry with them, we suffer, we think that they're right, we believe that they're right. It is so intertwined with how we are taught to believe that comment should be experienced. They said I am ugly, I feel ugly, I feel angry because they are right. I believe they are right. I also think I'm ugly. They are right. How dare they say it, but I think that they're right. All these things get intertwined as one that we suffer. Wisdom seekers and truth seekers see it completely different. Let me show you. So to a wisdom seeker, yes, somebody comes and says, you are ugly. The wisdom seeker goes, reality says I am ugly. Reality just is. My thoughts about them, my egoic thoughts are, how dare she? How could she? Why is she? What she shouldn't. The wisdom seeker can see both. The wisdom seeker has learned to observe thoughts and reality. The wisdom seeker knows thoughts are just belief systems. Thoughts are just cultural and emotional patterns. The belief that the wisdom seeker has is coming from the past, is coming from the mother, is coming from the culture, is coming from media. The belief is just a belief. The wisdom seeker knows, the wisdom seeker can observe. The wisdom seeker can observe reality, just is. This person said, I am ugly. They use words that sounds like it should be something I should get upset about, but I know that it's just a should. I should get upset about it because it's coming from culture. So you see, the wisdom seeker is watching both, and there's a huge gap between the seeker's heart and the beliefs and the seeker's heart and reality. There's so much space, and that's why the Buddha can smile, and that's why the monk can smile, and that's why the wisdom teacher for the most part can smile, because the wisdom teacher has so much space between their heart and reality, so much space between their heart and their beliefs. And then there's so much space between the reality and the beliefs. Now the seeker can choose. Do I want to get into this belief? Do I want to think these things? Do I want to go here? And then if I do go here, how do I want to react? You see how much space? Now, when you begin to develop this space in your own being, you are now seedling the birthing of your freedom. But if you believe that she said, I am ugly, I am supposed to get angry and react to this, and it's all one, how could she, how did she, how dare she, how would she, why would she, and you're just all a mess, and you're all intertwined, you suffer. But when you can begin to see, interesting, she said, I'm ugly. Now what are my beliefs? Let me see. I could believe this, I could believe this, I could believe this, or I could just believe she's having a hard day, or I could just believe, lots of things. Or I could believe, I am beautiful, just as I am. I could believe, I am in abundance. I could believe, this has nothing to do about me. I could believe, this is completely irrelevant for me. I could believe, these are just decibels, and I get to choose how I want to interpret them. Wow, now I have a choice. Do you understand? We can only have choice when we understand that the destiny for that choice, the destiny for our freedom, the destiny for who we want to be, the envisionment of that is here. But only when we understand that the thoughts are not us. Our thoughts are not reality. Our thoughts are not us. Our thoughts are belief systems, are inheritances. Do you want every inheritance from your family? Really, if they told you, you are inheriting 1,600 smelly shoes, do you want all that? Just because they're telling you it's yours, do you want it? You're like, ew, no, I don't want it. In the same way, your belief systems are smelly shoes for the most part. Don't put them in your closet, in your mental closet. Decide, Maybe you'll keep one smelly shoe because it's your grandfather's, but otherwise throw out all the belief systems. Most of your belief systems are smelly, stinky shoes. Don't keep them in your mental closet, right? And then you begin to understand, okay, my thoughts are all inheritances. They are not what reality is. Reality just is. Husband who sits on the couch all day. Child who doesn't clean dishes. Child who gets a C grade. It's raining. It's snowing. Child who said, I hate you, mom. Husband who said, I hate you, mom. Wife who is becoming fat. Whatever it is, it just is. It just is. It just is, guys. We don't have to react to it. We choose to react to it because our thoughts and reality feel like one. They are not one. Thoughts are not reality. Thoughts are not us. Thoughts are separate. Thoughts are these floating bubbles that we can flick into the air, we can blow into, we can burst. We have a choice. But you see, most of us don't realize this. We think our thoughts are us, and then we put it onto reality, and now we are suffering. We made it a big mess. So freedom comes when you understand your thoughts are bubbles. You can blow, you can touch them, you can leave them, you can let them fly away. You can do so many things with your thoughts. Only when you realize that your thoughts are stories, are just bubbles. Bubbles from your grandparents, bubbles from a silly culture, bubbles from Republicans, bubbles from Democrats, bubbles from journalists, bubbles, bubbles, bubbles. Stop taking your thoughts seriously. And certainly, please don't blame reality. Reality just is. You may not like it, but it just is. Our president is our reality as the president. It just is. Like it or not, suffer or not, he's our president. It just is. You understand? Now, if you have brown hair, it just is. If you have a wrinkle, it just is. You have a big nose, it just is. You have no money in the bank, it just is. You have a lot of money, when you understand reality, it just is reality. Just is, as is. Then you begin to realize, oh, now I'm putting onto reality a story. What is my story? What is my belief system? What is my projection? How do I separate the two? And now I have choice. Now I have liberation. Now I have freedom. Now I'm not an automaton. I'm not a zombie. Now I get to see out of all the belief systems, which one I want to keep it from this grandmother, this grandfather, this great-grandfather, this uncle, this journalist, this media, this news channel. Which one do I want to keep? Because they're all coming from outside. When you make that choice, now you're making a conscious choice and not a zombified robotic choice. So this is the bitter pill, that your thoughts are all, I like to say, bullshit. All bubbles, all part of the matrix, all stories, any way you want to call it, whatever you want to call it. I say bullshit as in Maya, which is my daughter's name, which is an illusion. My thoughts are an illusion. I get to now decide which illusion I want to live in. But it's all an illusion because reality just is. Any thought I have about it is an illusion. Reality just is. Cancer is just cancer. I can choose to be okay with it. I can choose not to be okay with it. Cancer is just cancer. The virus is just the virus. Death is just death. Life never promised us to live forever. It just is. You understand? So when you begin to understand that life just is and all else is my story, my cultural inheritance, now I get to have a choice. Okay, more tomorrow. I do have courses that I talk about this deeply complex stuff. It's profound, it's complex, it's hard for me to sometimes even explain. So I have courses for 52 hours that explain this. If you would like to take my courses to really get into this teaching more and more and more, I suggest you commit to it. I'm giving them for 50% off with the coupon code half off. So use the coupon code so that you can avail of these teachings and truly understand how you can liberate yourself. I've been on this path for 25 years now. Trust me, who I was 25 years ago was a woman who could have suffered all her life because of heavy duty cultural archetypes, heavy duty cultural scripts, heavy duty cultural belief systems. But one by one by one, I let it go. And let me tell you, honestly, in my life, I live pretty joyfully, pretty freely, because I've let all this baggage go. I've let it go. I've let what others think about me, what others feel about me, how others define me. I've let it go. And what's been left in the core of my heart is only open space to redefine myself moment by moment by moment by moment. So thank you for listening. Hopefully I will see you here tomorrow.